Hello and welcome back to the garden. If it's your first time in the space, I welcome you. I celebrate your arrival. Today I want to talk about how to survive a spiritual journey, a spiritual awakening, the voyage back to remembering who you really are. And that's what today's episode will be focused on. Welcome and thank you for being here. So, today in the burner, I love natural smells, so I thought I'd try something new. And today in the burner, I put some cinnamon sticks. I submerged 2 cinnamon sticks in the actual water to let it kind of cook. And then I also put some nutmeg in the water as well, and then a fragrance oil with moringa and honey. So that's what's in the air today. But let's get down to what we hear about today. So I would say that my spiritual journey began a very, very long time ago. I think I was still a child, in fact. And I think when we are children, we're very much still connected to the realms from which we come from. So there is an awareness around spirit, what we call spirit. But I think as a child, that might be viewed as playfulness, inquisitiveness, and curiosity. And then we kind of lose that as we become adults. And then we tend to overthink what spirituality actually is. And for me, how I understand it and define it and try to embody it for myself is that spirituality is an aliveness, and not kind of walking around like a zombie, but an aliveness to myself in the world, nature, breath, presence, just to be alive and awakened to my surroundings and my feelings and what I'm processing. So I often then define awakening or the spiritual journey as the journey to remembering who you really are and to embodying your fundamental nature, that essence that you were as a child. So, and of course, I am a advocate for playfulness because I think that's where we call it the inner child, but that's our essence, and I think spirituality is playfulness, is aliveness, like I mentioned. It's a joyfulness, a kind of just acknowledging how amazing it is to be here and that we get to smell the smells that we smell. We get to taste the taste that we taste, to get to feel the pleasure that we feel. And this could be, from drinking tea to drinking water, to getting to feel the sun on your face, to being able to see the sunset, to being able to feel the water on your skin, in your body, and just, the small things that we sometimes miss. Okay, so some of the tools that have helped me to navigate my spiritual awakening journey, and what has helped me keep grounded, and also what kind of keeps me sane and reminds me that, okay, I'm doing okay and that I'll be fine. So the first thing that I think is so special and magical are the birds, okay? Each morning, the birds break out into an orchestra of songs singing for us. And like the famous quote goes, why do the birds sing? And it's because they have a song to sing. So connecting with birdsong and to just the spirit of birds for me helps to keep me reminded that I've also come here to sing my song. Whether it's a plain pigeon or a peacock, we are all different in different ways, and each of us in our uniqueness have a song to sing that is unique, right? And so that keeps me grounded. And then further to that, to connect with that energy of the birds, and to honor that the energy of authenticity in them and me, all that is to pour water for the birds in a vessel. We have a little well outside, so I make sure every day or every second day to freshen it up and to give the birds fresh water. You think about, if you live in the city, how often birds have access to clean water, and so when we take the responsibility of making sure they have clean water, we bless ourselves. We bless ourselves, we bless spirit, we bless all that is, again. And then another thing I like to do, there is a stack of compressed seeds that you can get from the hardware store. I don't know in other countries, but in South Africa you can get it from my cow, the hardware store. But there's a compressed bird seed hanging item where you purchase it and you can erect it and hang it up on trees or any points in your garden or on your balcony where birds can access it and can then pick and eat and feed themselves throughout the day. Because again, the way that we have affected, us as humans have affected the ecosystem, it's not always, I would think and expect that we have also affected the food supplies of sentient beings in general, but in particular in this case, the birds. So that's the first practice. And then going off from that is the practice of communing with water. So water as a presence in your life can help to anchor you into this world, can help to anchor you into this now, right now, this moment in front of you, into yourself, and just to be more aware of how you navigate your days, with aliveness. And so how I connect with water is, so I have a wine glass of water today. I'm not really one to drink, but life is too short not to drink our water in a fabulous glass. So I have this vessel here of water. And when I connect with water, because water is so present in our days, right? We wake up and we might have a glass of water to rehydrate ourselves after fasting all night. We take showers, we take baths, we wash our vegetables and our fruits with water. So water is this companion that's with us throughout the day. And when we make an intentional effort to connect with water and to see water, to sense water, to speak to water, then we ourselves are more alive. Because, depending on your health, we're between 60 to 80% water in our bodies. And so by blessing water and having an awareness with water, to water, then we do the same in some ways for ourselves. So I try to connect with my water before I drink it. Water holds memory, and I will put a link down below to a little documentary by a Japanese scientist who did an experiment where he put water in different jars, various jars, and then put words on each of those jars. So hate, love, joy, and then would take a picture under a microscope of each of the structural impressions that the words make on the water. And it's amazing because each of those words actually create like a sacred geometry pattern, and the beautiful words have beautiful patterns, and things like hate and judgment have almost this image of rotting, or if you imagine water that is stagnant and not moving. So I put intention into my water, bless the water, and ask this water vessel, the water inside, to connect with my internal waters, and to release what needs to be released, and to amplify and bless what needs to be blessed within me. I also give thanks that this ancient liquid is still with us. The same glass of water could have been the same cup my grandmother made tea with, or my great-grandfather made tea with centuries ago, because it's the same water that's been with us in this system for eons. And so I give thanks. I like to hold my water with both hands, just as an honor, and to express reverence, and then to drink my water. Yeah, what a blessing. And of course, I do, and I would do the same thing before I shower. Ask the waters to cleanse me, purify me, and to invigorate me for the day ahead, to connect me with the intentions that I have for the day for myself. And it will be the same then, when you're washing your clothes, even if it's the washing machine, when you are washing your fruits, washing your vegetables, washing dishes, is that constant cultivation of gratitude throughout your days. What I have done for myself is to write a blessing over me and my life, my soul, my spirit, who I am, and to bless myself, to fortify myself. Some of us don't have our grandmothers anymore, and you find that our grandmothers were the only people that really prayed over us and prayed for us and our families and our homes. And so, in lieu, for instance, for myself, of not having any of my grandmothers alive anymore, I try and bring in that energy of the grandmothers, that energy of praying and blessing over others, over my own self. So to write down a blessing, a declaration, whatever you want to call it, intention, but to implant in it, sort of like a protection over you, and speaking over yourself and over your life. Part of my own blessing is to declare and to intend that I will use up all of the gifts that you've given me, beloved, Great Spirit, God, Moari, Tito, and that I see with the eyes of spirit, that I hear with the and use the ears of the divine, to use the words and the wisdom of the ancients, and to connect my heart to the invisible, that I may even, in the times where it gets really difficult, remember that there is a place that I can go back to that is rooting for me, that is holding me. And it can also be specific about, this day, I declare that in this day I will show up wholly and completely, that I will try and spread positivity, joy, peace, contentment, maybe even humor and laughter in all the faces and the places that I touch today. So it's just to get you in the mood and in the spirit of yourself, maybe your purpose, your songs, and for the day, right? And not forgetting that you are a blessing to yourself, to spirit, to the world, to your communities, to your families, even if it might not seem like that, even if the people around you might not treat you in that way. It's to remember that it is first you that needs to treat you in that way. Before that is the practice of, once you start to come back into conscious awareness from the dream realm, you've been sleeping all night, once you've recalled your dreams, because sometimes before you open your eyes, you lock in the remembrance of the dreams by not opening them actually. So keep your eyes closed, recall your dreams, and once you've kind of captured them, is to still using that energy of, sleep or waking state is quite a blissful, peaceful feeling, content kind of energy, is to wake up. And the thing that I say once I've, remembered my dreams is thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for everything. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Spirit. And you can use your own words or affirmation or statement or declaration, but it's to already, as you close, open your eyes, hopefully you can still hear the birds, and to connect with the orchestra of the waking day, of nature as it wakes up, in gratitude for another day, that you're alive. This is the day that the divine has made. And then to write your dreams down. Don't forget that. That's also, I wanted to mention it later, but that's an important aspect along the journey, is to try your best to write your dreams down, even if it's just the feeling that you had, whatever detail you remember, to write it down, because it introduces you deeper to yourself, your spirit, your unconscious mind, your unconscious conscious, and it allows you to understand where you truly are, even in ways that you won't understand yourself, and the language of your soul. Of course, it's also an opportunity for you to hear from God. It's an opportunity for you to access the prayers, the answers to the prayers that you've prayed, and the direction to take. I mean, there's so much that I can say about dreams, but just in that's the summation that I want to express. I mean, you would know. And the more that we remember our dreams is actually equivalent to how awake we are in our waking world. So healing can also be tracked by how the environment in our dreams, as there are a lot of angst and a lot of kind of pain or confusion or anxiety, and the more you heal, the more peaceful your dreams kind of get. The more you can recall, the more real they feel in the dream state. And so that is also a beautiful measure of your growth, your transformation, the arrival of peace and calm. Other tools that help me when perhaps I've been anxious in the past, where I feel myself spiraling, because there is a correlation between the spiritual awakening and depression and feeling like you're going insane, because going sane feels like you're going insane. And these are the tools that I found can kind of calm me in the best ways, in the fastest ways. And so I'll offer two of those that are quite incredible in how they can almost send you into a meditative state and soothe your nervous system. It feels like it is candle gazing. Candles are very powerful meditative tools, but they can also be divination tools in a sense, because the way that the candle is standing, whether if it's calm or not calm or whatever the case may be, but a candle can tell us what our internal temperature is, right? But just let's do it out. Look at that. Already my nervous system and just my spirit is like, similar to that. But if you perhaps don't have a candle, candles are getting so expensive. Everything's getting expensive, but that we're not there, we're on the positive. if you don't have a candle, or it's during the day, or you're outside or whatever, is to do the same thing but with a leaf. So if you can maybe even see a tree from your office desk, from your office window, from your home window, so just look at the trees and a specific leaf and just look at it, feel it, connect with it. Sometimes you can hear the leaf and the tree, but to connect with it, there's a tree outside just behind the camera. Sometimes you can feel like gentle wind on your face. I can hear the birds. And I can hear the silence between all of those things. There's a few cars down the way. There's a man next door who likes to sit in front of the gate, like in front of the house outside. So I can hear him as well. And that's also a beautiful practice to bring you back to aliven you. Another great practice is earthing, and this is you literally going outside to lie on the ground, on the grass. And I often go and just lie on the grass and then try to be aware of everything I'm feeling. Sometimes there's a little prickliness from the grass. Sometimes I can feel so clearly this heavy energy, pent-up energy within my body being transmuted and absorbed by Mother Earth, like the electricity from my body being stabilized and balanced out. So just to lay on the grass and literally feel, you can listen again, could even combine it with the leaf gazing, and just feel and connect with what's coming up for you. What's powerful about earthing is that it's grounding, yes, but it's also deeply, deeply healing. There are uploads that downloads that we get from the heavens, the cosmos, but there's also uploads that we get from the ventricles of the earth. You know, I could be getting downloads from my ancestors from Angola, just through the veins of the earth, right? But the earth is also healing. There's a story that I heard from an elder who described how a child in the community was sick. And this is the Native American indigenous peoples. So an elder was sharing the story of how a child was sick, and I can't remember where I heard this sharing. And a child was sick, had been in hospital. I think the child had surgery, and the doctors in the hospital said, "We can't help you. We can't. There's nothing we can do for the child anymore." And so the family took the child home. The child was received by the community, and there was then a hole dug in the earth, in the soil, a hole dug for the child. And the child was submerged in the hole for a while. I think it was more than a day. And the child came back to life. The child came back to life. And there are phenomenal benefits for earthing and grounding. And we are electromagnetic beings, and the fastest way for us to calm ourselves, to heal ourselves, is to connect with Mother Earth herself, who is the same like us, and to recalibrate on that level. This extends to also being barefoot for as much as you can. So on my spiritual journey initially, so my spiritual journey has been, like I mentioned in the beginning, my entire life. But more consciously in high school, I became a Christian. That was the first time I kind of contacted this energy that took over me. Well, it didn't take over me, but really reminded me of home and reignited the frequency, the potent frequency of love and unconditional love within myself. And from high school, I had various degrees of exploring spirit through, I attended Baha'i gatherings and studied Baha'i Abdullah's teachings for some time, and was really looking into maybe becoming a Baha'i. I studied the science of self-realization, and the very first book I read was The Power of the Subconscious Mind. I think it was by Joseph Murphy, and that book completely changed my life. And that was the first time I was introduced to the power of the mind and how we can heal ourselves. I remember healing a scar on my body that I never thought, on my body, certain areas of my body that I never thought I would be able to heal, because that's what science said. And I completely healed those scars. And I've been seeking throughout. I've gone to Vipassana, I've had medicine journeys, I've done theta healing, EFT tapping, so I've explored spirituality in various ways. But when I talk about my initiation, I mean that this was the first time I went into a formalized form of learning about myself, the spiritual realms, and the secrets of which is no longer such a secret anymore as we continue to awaken as a humanity. But to learn about the secrets of the subconscious mind, the conscious mind, and all of these things, that's what I mean when I refer to my initiation journey. And one of the first things that you must do when you go onto the journey is you don't wear any shoes. And I mentioned that in my first, in one of my videos. But so that also extends to the earthing. If you can be if you're on this journey and you're struggling, the one thing that you can help yourself with the most is to be as barefoot as often as possible. And I know with some people there's judgment, there's cultural kind of negativity around being barefoot. You looked down as crazy or maybe even dirty and all of those things, but feel the benefits for yourself and decide from there. But also, the life that we've come to live is for ourselves, and hopefully the intention is to decrease the volume of what other people think about ourselves more and more, and actually become in tune with the voice within ourselves and what it wants, and to honor that instead of this continuous tendency we've been conditioned into to forsake ourselves. Okay, and then that also then leads me to sleeping on the floor. So I slept on the floor with this is a bit extreme, but I slept with no mattress on the floor for around a year and a half. Longer, because even after my formalized initiation, I still felt the need to be on the ground. And you'll feel it for yourself, just how there's just something about it. You sleep differently, you dream differently. There's something about feeling safer as well when you sleep on the ground. And though I was kind of forced to do it in the beginning, I really, really appreciate the practice. And it's a lifestyle. That's how some people live in certain communities around many places around the world. But yeah, so try that and see what it does for you. It truly changed my life. And this could be something you do once a week or every day or for a specific amount of time. But I think it's also very much connected to the fact that you're really connected to Mother Earth, as opposed to these things that have been designed to separate us from her, like shoes, rubber, some of these beds, and many other things, right? The next thing that I can offer you from my initiation journey is to try and avoid the mirror. So I wasn't allowed to look at myself in the mirror for the duration that I was there, and something amazing happens when you don't have access to yourself. There's something about, for a lot of us, there's something about our self-talk, our thoughts, and sometimes looking at ourselves. So the internal turmoil that we have, we can often kind of is triggered when we look at ourselves, as sad as that is, whether it's self-loathing or criticism and judging ourselves and rejecting ourselves. when we see ourselves, the sight of ourselves, sometimes we can often feel bad about ourselves. But when you don't look at yourself in the mirror, when you don't look at yourself in the mirror, there's something, that voice, that violent voice subsides, it's subdued. And you begin, more room is made in your spirit, in your mind, in your thoughts for something more and something true. And you begin to hear from a different aspect of you that loves you and would never speak to you in the ways that sometimes we speak to ourselves, our self-talk. So that also then, is another thing that I want to share that's connected to not looking at yourself in the mirror, is a tool that has also helped me to truly heal and remember myself and to keep coming back home, is to be aware of my self-talk. And that is my thoughts. To try and that's what's great about, these practices of awareness by grounding with water, connecting with water, is that more and more we're training ourselves to be more present and awake and aware in our days. And so the thoughts, which is like in the water, in our ocean, right, our body, our thoughts reverberate through our body, and that's how disease can be formed by our own thoughts, right? So when we think positive thoughts, the outcomes are positive, the outcomes within our body, but the outcomes and the manifestations around our lives, right? This is affected. So by being aware of how you speak to yourself, and with no judgment, just trying to be more and more aware of, okay, all right, that's what you're thinking, that's fine, but I love you. And then, sometimes it's this like back and forth, the sparring in the head, and you just continuously say, I hear you, but I love you, I love you, I'm here. It's okay, I'm here, we're okay, you're okay, we're okay, we're okay. And to begin to cultivate the voice of love, the voice of compassion, the voice of softness within yourself, so that slowly and slowly and slowly the words within you can transform, the thoughts within you can transform, which will then transform your body, the state of your body, the state of your health, and will also then transform the state of your life. Okay, so the next offering and next tool is definitely stretching. And I mean, I could say yoga and all those things, but some people don't have access to that. Some people just, as soon as they hear it, they have a gift, a block. But the point is, what is nice about just saying stretch is that it allows you to figure out what your body needs in that moment. And that's the most true thing, because then you're giving yourself the medicine you actually need. And so start off slowly. I'll share a link as well with just basic everyday stretchings every human should do. But again, it's about leaning into your own body and figuring out, this is what I need to do, this is what my body needs, and to do that. And then more and more it trains you to listening to yourself and honoring the body and the body's needs. So yeah, stretching is everything. Stretching changes your mood. Stretching, you could wake up feeling really down, and then you stretch, and the day you thought you were going to have completely flips, because what actually was needed was for you to process and release certain stagnated energy from within you. Yeah. The next tool. Don't think I'm odd. The next tool is smile. Sometimes we're not feeling great, and there's a lot going on right now in the world, so more and more there's just these waves of emotions, ups and downs of everydays, and that's okay. But the practice of smiling, I mean, already if I smile, you also want to smile. But to force yourself to smile, and then to smile and to smile, to make it bigger, that already changes. It's almost like your heart begins to wake up and smile as well. But when we smile, we are expanding that frequency of joy. We're asking it, we're inviting it into our lives. It's also, tapping into the frequency of gratitude, which is the frequency of manifestation. That's how we manifest. That's how we manifest in our lives. So smile. Smiling not only boosts our mood, but it also activates and releases cortisol and endorphins in your body that reduce stress, send healing frequencies throughout your body. The next tool I want to offer you is to sing and dance. Because we live in a world where it's quite a competitive, and obviously capitalistic. We often think that if we sing, we have to be a really good singer, and that needs to amount to something. But the point is that singing is it's our first song. When a child emerges from the womb, the first thing we do is sing. We confuse it with crying, but if you can sing and chant, it can completely transform your day, your life, and it does so gradually. Om is that sound of creation, of the universe, of earth. And when you connect to that, you're really connecting to an ancient kind of frequency and unlocking certain keys within yourself. And so too, when we chant and use our own voices, we are allowing certain key codes within us to unravel, to unlock, to come up to the surface. And then for women, there's actually a direct link between the throat and the vagina. And in fact, when we're still embryos forming in the womb, the vagina and the ovaries are one organ. And so that in itself, just shows you how deeply healing chanting and singing can be, specifically for women, but for everyone. We all have sexual organs, right? And that is the root from which we find our foundation and the confidence to move from in this life. So chanting is everything, and there's also something quite, cathartic and comforting about it. If you imagine your mother or grandmother or, anyone singing to a child, or as if you were sung to, it brings that same kind of comfort, an emotion, and this is something that you can give yourself. This is how you can begin to kind of reparent yourself, to soothe yourself, more especially, when you start to go into your mind and the self-talk is going into a more negative state, then you chanting will certainly soothe you. The last two tools that have been really helpful for me and supportive are journaling and posture. So, of course, we hear about journaling a lot. And oftentimes on the spiritual journey, you don't even have the energy for it, or there's resistance, you really don't want to. But if there's something that you can give yourself and commit to and really do it, and say that, I'm going to give this to myself, even if I don't make it out of the bed, even if I don't get to cleaning and washing myself today, that I'm going to do this, is journaling. Journaling allows you to take what's in here and tangled up and to let it out of the body and put it somewhere where you can then create space for more and keep purging and keep purging and keep purging. And what's so beautiful about journaling is that when you look back on some of your posts from 3 months ago, 3 years ago, you can actually also track how far you've come, how well you're doing, how much progress and blossoming you've been doing. And I truly, truly respect and put that on my priority list, and would encourage anyone else to put it on their priority list, because especially in the moments where we're really in pain, even though we might not realize that, because even that, knowing what you're feeling is it's an on journey, and it's a thing on its own. its own journey, and I want to do an episode where it's just about feeling our feelings, or how to feel your feelings. But you know, when you are feeling like, oh, maybe you're angry, or you're like, you don't know why you're angry at this person, or you don't know how you're feeling, how you're feeling, to just be like, right now I'm feeling angry, I feel used. Just to admit and begin to open up that place that's trying to express itself. When you journal, other things start coming up because you're allowing them the portal to move through, right? You're allowing them to express themselves, so then they come and they come. And by the end of that, you're like, whew, I've affirmed myself, I feel better. And the more that we do that, the more that we are able to dissolve and release old, stored up, pent up energy and memories, which then remove the blockages that keep us from realizing ourselves and really living the life that we deserve, right? So maybe keep one next to your bed. I keep a little journal in my bag. I keep journals everywhere, but yeah, you don't have to do that, but journal. It'll save you your little heart, your little beautiful heart, your big beautiful heart, all of the above. The last tool that I want to offer is one that is so simple, so overlooked, and it's right here on our body because we wear our bodies every day, all the time. But that is posture. Correct posture basically increases our self-confidence, it boosts our mood, it helps with how we breathe. We can actually breathe much better and in the ways that we're meant to breathe when we have the right posture. It also increases our energy, which is great. Like it's magical, and it's a great practice to have if you have to sit at your desk the whole day. If you sit a lot, it's even more important that you assume to correct your posture so you can breathe better. Another one that might seem a little bit odd but is a goodie is the practice of rubbing your belly. So for women, it's rubbing your womb, that sacred portal to other realms, but also it's our first brain, right? There are more neurons that fire in the belly than they are in the brain. So it's a sacred part of ourselves. And it is where our subconscious intelligence is stored and cultivated. And by rubbing our belly, we're also able to connect that subconscious intelligence with conscious awareness. Because it's the first brain, and because some of the food that we eat is really not that great, a lot of people suffer with irritable bowel syndrome and other issues related to the gut. Rubbing your belly allows you to, that electricity, that electric charge, if you could just do 5 minutes a day, it allows you to activate and release sometimes stool, but it's also connecting you to the other realms. I'm not sure that I am able to make short videos, but I'm going to try. I am still teething and getting used to this whole thing. I am very grateful that you have been here in the garden with me today. And I want to send you love, and I honor you. And I will see you next week. Lots of love. Come on.